Hey guys, Danny here. I've got another drone for you today. This is the Hubsan Zino drone. I'm very excited for this because pretty much every Hubsan drone that I've reviewed I've really liked, so I have high hopes for this one. This was sent to me for review. You can pick this up from around 350 to 370 pounds at the moment, so it's not on the cheap end of the scale, but it does pack some pretty awesome features, so that's why it has the higher price point. As always, if you want to pick this drone up, I'll put a link down in the description for you. Always check, because sometimes I put coupon codes down there for you. So of course I'm going to show you everything that comes in the box. First of all, we have the controller, which I really like the design of. You can see we've got dual antenna here on the top. The controls feel really nice in the hand and a high quality, as you would expect for a product of this price. All the buttons are labelled, and you can see you also have a sport and a normal switch down here, which should give us some more fine tuning. You have a picture button, a little wheel that adjusts the gimbal, and you have a video button the other side. Down at the bottom we have our phone holder. I actually really like the design of this. It feels really sturdy and really well made in general, and it just seems to fit most phones quite well. I didn't have any problems with my phone, which is a Galaxy S7, and it fits nice and snugly away. I always like this design because I don't like having to fumble and have extra pieces that you have to attach to the controller. On the side here we have a micro USB port, which you can use to charge the controller, as it has an inbuilt battery, and you can also connect your phone directly to this, which I'll tell you about after. And of course the drone itself, which again has a very nice weight in the hand. It feels very sturdy and well made. The arms on the side feel really solid and have a nice little click when you push them out into place. They do have a specific way you have to open them, so you do the top first, followed by the bottom ones. When the drone is unfolded, it is pretty large, but when it's folded up you can easily fit this in a backpack, which I really like. Foldable drones are definitely my favorite type because of this reason. The drone comes with a 3-axis stabilized 4K camera. You can record in 4K, and you can also go down to 1080p. On the side we have our micro USB and a micro SD card. The micro USB is for transferring your files over, and here is our battery compartment, which is held in with these little clips. Really nice and easy to take out. It's a 3000 mAh battery at 11.4 volts. This will supposedly give us an above 20-minute flight time, but I'll be skeptical of that until I fly it myself. And once we remove the little protective case, we can see the camera and its gimbal underneath. This should give us some really good stabilized shots, which I will show you when I do the flight test. And we also have our spare parts box, or just the extra accessories. We have a little screwdriver, as well as a pack of some screws and some spare props. Next up we have some cables that plug into a smartphone and then into the controller. There's an adapter for USB-C, Lightning, and also micro USB. What this enables you to do is the drone talks to the controller using 5G. If your phone doesn't support that, you can plug in using one of these cables, and it will automatically open up the Hubsan app on your phone. I really like this because my phone doesn't always seem to work with 5G. It can be a little bit weird, but this enabled me to use it no problems at all. Next up we have basically all of our charging stuff. The micro USB is to charge up the controller, and this one is to charge up the battery. You also get a little balancing brick in here as well, which you get a standard wall plug. For me, I'm in the UK, so I get a 3-pin plug. When you're charging the controller via micro USB, you get a nice indicator to show you how much charge the controller has, and these 3 lights will turn green when the battery is fully charged for the drone. When you plug your smartphone into the controller, you'll get this message that will pop up, and it will open the Hubsan app for you. Also, the controller charges your smartphone, which is really handy if you're low on juice. This should be in the correct orientation as soon as I get into the menu. So this is using Hubsan's app that I've used with all the other drones that I've tested, and it's really cool piece of software. Always works really well for me, and I never have issues with it, so I'm glad they're using it for this drone also. Here's a look of the app when you first boot it up, and also the setup process. So I have a micro SD card in there already. It's a 32GB micro SD, and it's asking me to format it, which I'm doing now. Now it asks me to do a compass calibration, which I recommend you do regardless if it asks you or not. If you turn the drone on and it doesn't prompt you to do this, you should do it anyway. You can find it in the settings menu at the bottom. Once this has been completed, you'll see that message goes away, and then you get this little prompt to bind the aircraft to the current device you're using. This all worked really well for me, and you get a GPS accuracy test, which also worked fine. I think the good thing about this app is it seems to walk you through a lot of these steps, and it just seems well thought out and fluid to use. The layout of the app in general is really good. At the top right you have the current battery level of the drone, you have the amount of satellites you're connected to, your connectivity to the drone and also the controller, and you have lots of different options you can play around with. You'll notice here I had some problems getting the drone to record in 4K, so unfortunately I'm not able to show you 4K footage. I had to change this to 1080p. This could be to do with the micro SD card that I'm using, but I haven't had problems with it in other drones, so I'm not really sure why this happened. If I find out, I'll put a comment down in the comments for you. So finally, let's give this thing a flight test. It does have a landing and takeoff button, which you can see me using here. It will just take off and hover on the spot. On my first impressions of the drone, it seemed as if there was a slight delay at times between my control input to the drone actually performing the action. It also seemed to have a slight toilet bowl effect sometimes, even though I did the compass calibration, but overall it was really steady. Even with a bit of wind, it didn't really move around too much. It just seemed to be a little bit twitchy at times, and I would have liked a little bit more responsiveness in terms of my control input. Sometimes it responded better than others, and I did try it in sport mode, but it didn't seem to really make a huge difference. The drone is pretty fast though, so you can see here you can get it to a pretty high height very quickly and get yourself some really nice shots. The gimbal is a joy to use. It is a little bit slow to pan up and down, which was a little bit frustrating at times, but it does enable you to get some really cool shots here. Throughout my testing, the Wi-Fi feed was solid. I didn't have any interruptions or any real delays. It was pretty much flawless. I didn't take it very far from me. It said it's capable of 1,000 meters, but I wanted to keep the drone within line of sight, so I didn't take it too far away from me. I was also expecting the drone to be noisier than it actually was. It's not quiet by any means, but its noise level I found for its size was actually pretty good. Here I'm trying out the return to home feature. This is a standard option that comes with pretty much all GPS drones. You do have an option to come back to where you took off from, or your current location, which would be where you are when you're holding the controller. The return to home feature worked really well. I tested it a few times and it did come back to me pretty quickly. Some drones can be quite slow in their return to, but this one worked really well. And I also had a lot of fun panning the gimbal down here, which again is the added bonus of having a gimbal. You can get these really cool shots. Now I'm testing one of the smart features, which is the follow mode. It does also use active track, which enables you to draw a box around yourself and the drone will track you actually pretty well in this case. You can see I start to move here and the drone follows me pretty nicely. I would say this is probably one of the best active tracks I've tried on a drone. It seemed to keep up with me very well, and the drone was very responsive at turning as I moved. Quite often they will let you get to the edge of the screen before the drone actually starts to turn, and even the gimbal seemed to pan here, which is a really nice touch. So follow me mode definitely gets a thumbs up from me. Even when I run, it keeps up with me, and then at one point it does lose track, which is not uncommon. Pretty much every active track feature I've tried on a drone, it has lost me at some point. I had a lot of fun testing out the orbit mode as well, which essentially keeps you in frame and the drone circles you. This works probably the best I've used in any drone. It just felt really intuitive, and you can see there's this little slider on the center of the screen you can adjust, and you'll see the drone panning. If I do it to the other side, it then goes the other way. It just was quite a lot of fun to use and worked a lot better than I expected. Last but not least, we of course have to talk about the camera. Now, I wasn't able to test this in the full 4K. This is 1080p footage, which is a bit of a shame because even at 1080p it still seems pretty crisp to me. For the price that you're paying, I really can't complain at all about the video quality that this camera puts out, and at 4K I'm sure it would look even better. It has a nice amount of detail, good light, and it just overall I think is pretty solid for the price. And because of that stabilization from the 3-axis gimbal, you can get yourself some really cool shots just like this one. I have no problems recommending this drone along with most of the other Hubsan drones that I've tested. They always perform really well and I'm always impressed with their quality and just how user friendly they are. This drone is no different. The app is solid, the drone itself performs really well. I got around a 20-minute flight time, which is pretty good for the drone and its cost. This product definitely hits a sweet spot in my opinion. It's not outrageously priced and it's not cheap, but it's in that middle ground that most people should be able to afford it. So if you're looking for a GPS drone that has a gimbal, is stabilized, and you can get yourself some really awesome footage, this drone really isn't a bad option. And I think you will definitely struggle to find all of the features that this drone has at this price point. You can spend more for your money and find similar features, but I think this drone might be slightly in a league of its own, but we'll have to see. Maybe there's some other drones out there that I haven't seen yet. I really hope you enjoyed the video, guys. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing for more videos like this one. And of course, I will see you in the next one.